Welcome to Real Estate Radio Live, an informative and engaging hour discussing everything you need to know about the world of real estate. Your host, Joe Kuchera, provides you with insight and guidance on how to buy, sell, finance, and invest in real estate. He also offers real estate tax management strategies, new construction advice, home improvement tips, and much, much more. And now, to guide you around the world of real estate, here's your host and Real Estate Radio Live team leader, Joe Kuchera.
Welcome in. Joe Kuchera with Real Estate Radio Live. Thank you again for spending some time with us this afternoon as we roll through the week. It is Thursday, and we are with you 5 days a week, Monday through Friday, from 3 to 4 Pacific Daylight Time. A couple different ways, real important that you listen and follow the show. One, of course, is the live portion is every day, 3 to 4 Pacific Daylight Time. You could tune in on the radio at KDOW 1220 AM. You could also go live online and watch the show anywhere, listen to the show, I should say, anywhere. If you go to kdow.biz and click on the button that says Listen Live, you can listen to us anytime. I should say you can listen to us from anywhere at the website during this time slot. Also, we're doing a live feed on Facebook, social media, so you could watch the show, interact one way or another if you'd like that way. Happy to do that. Always fun getting people to interact on all aspects and all different, really all different venues and platforms of the communication. And then lastly, most importantly, of course, you're busy. Most people are busy. Your schedules will dictate. So we have the podcast. Make sure you download the podcast. That way you can listen to the show anywhere at your convenience whenever you want. You could go to iTunes and just type in Real Estate Radio Live, and you'll get our podcast. You could download it there, or you could download it from our website at reradiolive.com. During the 3 to 4 hour, we are a live show. That means you could interact with us. We'd love to get phone calls, emails, texts. The 1-800 number, the toll-free number during the live show is 1-800-516-1220. If you want to call in and if you have a question for me or comments, you could also text your questions in at 408-838-9060. Lastly, if you're listening to this via the podcast, then the best place to contact us is the 408-838-9060, or you could always go to the website, reradiolive.com, and contact us that way. All right, so today, I'm going to cover a couple different things. First two segments, I'm going to talk a little bit about rates are on their way up. Most people know that, or maybe you don't. But rates are on their way up. They've been low for so long. I still think a lot of people are going to be caught by surprise when rates start going up. So I'm going to keep talking about it from time to time because it's worth mentioning, worth reminding you, because a lot of people have gotten very complacent thinking, you know, Joe, I'm not going to worry about this. Rates will come right back down. They always have. They always will. In the last 10 years, they've done nothing but come down. And that's true. And that's true for the most part. They have ratcheted down the last 10 years or so, and they're still very good. But those days are over, and now we're settling, flattening, and now we're on our way back up. I really believe that, and most people do as well that follow this and cover this. So that being said, is it too late? Rates are on their way back up. Is it too late for you? So I'm going to talk a little bit about that, the first two segments. And then the last couple segments, I'm going to talk a little bit about why the fourth quarter might be the best time to buy a house. Most of you know, if you've been out there trying to buy a house in the last year or so, or a couple of years, honestly, what's happening is because there's such low inventory and the competition is so fierce, you're up against multiple offers, and a lot of people are losing out on offers, and it's tough to get your offer accepted in some cases. And I'm going to talk a little bit about in segments 3 and 4, the latter part of the show, about why the fourth quarter, I believe, is one of the best times, potentially the best times to buy a home, and I'm going to go into some details about that. All right, so let's talk a little bit about interest rates. Excuse me, where Where they're settling right now, if we're talking about 30-year money, they're right around 3 7/8 to 4%, depending on a number of different things. 30-year money, conforming, good credit scores, good LTVs, all those. There's so much that goes into lending. That's why it's so complicated. And that's why you hear me say all the time, a lot of this stuff that happens online and a lot of the stuff that people read and see online, don't believe what you see, because there's so many complicated factors that go into interest rates. First of all, you have thousands of different companies. Secondly, everybody has a different profile. The one I love the most, and you guys, you've probably heard this one before. The one I love the most is someone will call me and say, Joe, you told me my 30-year fix is 3 7/8. I got a guy in my office that's telling me he got 3.5. What's going on? Are you not being straight with me? What's happening? Am I missing something? Let me tell you what happens. First of all, people always want to make their story better. It's human nature. It's sad, but it's true. A lot of people will, let's call it, what do we call it, BS? A lot of people will mislead. A lot of people say, they'll puff their chest out and go, 3 7/8? Are you kidding me? I got 3.5. Let me tell you something right now. If someone got 3.5%, they either paid that loan down or something was going on where they literally stole it or no one made any money. I'm not saying they don't exist on a 30-year fix, but it would be interesting. And I'm just using that for an example, by the way. This happens a lot. So be real careful with that. People are very misleading, and they want to always make their story sound better. And please keep in mind, literally everybody has a different profile. I could just go through a couple of these things with you to give you an idea. You have people that are W-2 income earners. You have people that are self-employed. You have sole proprietorships. You have LLCs. You have corporations. You have people who own corporations, but yet they pay themselves W-2s, right? Those are just some of the things. In terms of where you get your income. Totally different, by the way, depending on where you are. And then no one ever wants to disclose their credit scores, right? The person that says, why am I getting 4% and that guy's getting 3 3/4? I'm just giving you an example. I'm not saying this is the case. But what that person's not telling you is they might have a credit score that's below 700. They might have a 660 credit score, 680 credit score. Well, that's going to affect your interest rate. And you might be talking to a person that has an 815 credit score, which is they're going to get the very best rate possible with that credit score. So you have the credit scores, you have how you get your income, and then the other factors involved is, for instance, one of the biggest things that people won't tell you about is what the size of the loan, right? So you have the conforming loan limits that are up to $424,000 roughly. And then they have what's called in certain counties high balance conforming, which is up to $636,150. By the way, whoever comes up with these ridiculous numbers, just make the darn thing even. Seriously. It's a couple of guys sitting at a desk. Let's see, how could we justify our jobs? I know I could justify my job. Instead of making the loan amount $636 even, I'm going to make the loan amount $636,150. Seriously, who does that? There's no rhyme or reason. It's just some person, throwing together numbers and they think they're cute. I don't know. But anyway, so you have $424,000. Then the next step is high balance $636. And then anything over 636 in most of these counties, the high priced, then you have jumbo. So anything over 636, you have jumbo. Jumbo financing is completely different in the way it's underwritten. In the investor's perspective, there's several investors. It's not as black and white as conforming. Most of you, if you understand loans a little bit, anything in the conforming area is really governed and kind of around Fannie Freddie, which is government controlled and backed. So you have more black and white, pretty clear distinctive underwriting guidelines with your conforming loan limits. Once you get into jumbo financing, those are all thrown out the window. There's no such thing as one fits all in jumbo. you have maybe a dozen or so major investors in the jumbo market, and for the most part, they all have different guidelines. You might have one that says the minimum credit score is 680. You might have another one that says the minimum credit score is 700. You might have another one that says cash out, the minimum credit score is 740. I'm just giving you a few examples. There's hundreds. The point is, jumbo financing is a lot more complicated. So when someone's comparing interest rates, please do yourself a favor, match it, compare it to apples. You don't know what your neighbor, your coworker, your friend, you don't know all the details, and believe me, they're not going to tell you the truth. Most people are not going to tell you, hey, listen, Jim, I got an 814 credit score, my LTV is 64, and my loan amount is this, and blah, blah, blah. They're not going to tell you all that. Maybe. I don't think so. They're going to mislead you. Anyway, interest rates are on their way up, and I can't see them coming down again unless there's something that happens that are unforeseen, something we don't know about, geopolitical, something that happens that's going to cause the markets to be affected. Then we're looking at an environment where interest rates are going to be continuing to go up. All right, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to take a quick break. This is our first break. I'm going to come back. It's about 2 minutes in between our break. Then I'm going to come back live again, and I'm going to continue to talk about interest rates on their way up, some things you could do, some things to think about to try to take advantage of these before they go up high. Joe Kuchera with Real Estate Radio Live. Give us a call, 1-800-516-1220. I'll be back with you in a couple minutes.
For more information on today's program, visit RERadiolive.com. That's RERadiolive.com.
The world is changing, and so is real estate. It's changing in ways that give consumers more control with more affordable options. So what are your options? Hi, this is Joe Kuchera with Real Estate Radio Live. I've been on the air educating and informing consumers for over 7 years now. I'm excited to announce that there is now a more efficient and cost-effective way to buy and sell real estate. Our team at Real Estate Radio Live is launching a new program designed to help buyers or sellers like you in real estate, lending and title. That's right, we'll coordinate the entire transaction for you. So you benefit by working with the same team, saving time and saving money. We'll guarantee you'll not only be working with the most qualified, hand-picked experts in real estate, lending, and title, but you will also save a significant amount of money in all three services as well. Act now and benefit from changing the world of real estate. Call 408-838-9060. Go to RERadiolive.com. That's RERadiolive.com.
Welcome back to Real Estate Radio Live, streaming live on iHeart, TuneIn, and KDOW.biz. For more information on today's topic or guest, just visit RERadiolive.com. That's RERadiolive.com. Again, your host for Real Estate Radio Live, Joe Kuchera.
Welcome back in. Thank you for joining me this afternoon. Joe Kuchera with Real Estate Radio Live. With you 5 days a week, Monday through Friday. And today I'm talking a little bit about interest rates. They're on their way up. Is it too late? How do you react to it? What are some of the things to do? I'll finish up that segment talking a little bit about interest rates, maybe some different suggestions that I'll have for some people to really take a strong look at your mortgage planning before the end of the year, rolling into 2018. And then the next two segments, I'm going to talk a little bit about why I believe Q4, so the last part of 2017, could be the best time for those buyers out there than it has been in a while. And again, if you're a buyer, if you've been a buyer out there, or if you're a real estate agent, you know how tough the market's been on a buyer because of the shortage of inventory and the strong market, multiple offers. You know, it's been really difficult for a lot of buyers, and some people are out there sticking it out, you know, staying tough, grinding it out, and dealing with it. And some people really have taken a break, quite honestly, and I don't blame them. And they keep thinking, you know, I'm going to get on the sidelines for a while, and I'm going to take a break, and I'm going to come back. And here's the problem with that. I don't know in the next couple of years. No one really knows for sure, but there's nothing out there that would indicate to me that the market's going to take a dip or at least regress or lose ground. I think we're going to see some flattening. I do think we're going to see flattening. I do think we're going to see a smaller percentage of equity growth. Excuse me. Sorry about that, fighting some allergies. I think we're going to see a smaller percent of equity growth. So, some of these 10, 12%, 15% in 1 year, I really doubt if we're going to see those. We might see 2, 3, 4%. It's hard to believe that this is going to keep going straight up without some kind of correction. And I think we're coming into a little bit of a flattening for sure. So I'm going to talk a little bit about that in segments 2 and 3. So let's get back to, 3 and 4. So let's get back to interest rates real quick. What I'm going to do is continue over the next couple of months to suggest, because I know people are busy and you might think it or understand it or hear something and you forget about it because, it's not always the funnest thing to do is collect your paperwork and get stuff together to get your financing. But if you have a home equity line second, I'm going to suggest again, you'll hear me say this quite a bit, really consider rolling that into a first loan or consolidating into your first. And I know as soon as I say that, people will say, Joe, I'm not going to do it because I have a 3 3/4 fixed 30-year. There's no way I'm going to touch that. Here's the problem. Not the problem. But here is when I get some feedback like this, what you really need to do is sit down and take a look at the numbers. And what I mean by that is if you have an interest rate of 3 3/4 on your first loan, a 30-year fixed, it is a good loan. It's a great loan. You'd hate to get rid of it if you're going to be in that house for a while. But if your home equity line is second, let's say you have a $200,000 balance on your home equity line, and it's at 5.5%, 6%. See, most people are misled by the false payment because 5.5% or 6% on $200,000 on an interest-only payment looks like nothing. It's like, it's a couple $100, no big deal. I'll just throw it in there every month. But it's like a credit card. You're never going to pay it off. You're never going to pay it down if you make the minimum payment. Plus, go through this exercise. Most people could probably do it. I'm happy to do it with you. Go through what's called the blended rate exercise. So if you have a $500,000 first at 3 3/4, and then you have a $200,000 second that's at 6%, blend those interest rates, right? What is that blended interest rate? You're probably going to get a blended interest rate in somewhere in the 4 to high 4%, mid to high 4% range if you blend those interest rates. I'm just giving you an example here. So you have to ask yourself, is a blended interest rate on a first and second when you're paying 5.5 or 6% on a second, interest only, which is a false payment, by the way, is that better than consolidating both loans together and having one loan at, let's say, 4%? Think about that. So before you automatically say, I don't want to touch my first, most people just see the first. They don't see the second. It's like, I'll worry about it later. Don't do that because it'll become problematic if you worry about it later. That second is an interest only. It's like a credit card payment. If you pay it, the minimum payment, 1. And 2, even more severely, what most people forget about is most of those terms on the seconds are 10 years. So if you've had your home equity line for 7 or 8, 9 years, let me tell you, when that year number 10 comes and you finish up 10 years, you are going to have a sticker shock big time on that home equity line. That payment of $300 a month could go to $900 to $1,000 to $1,200 a month, depending on how it recasts, the terms you have of that loan, all kinds of different things. So if you have a home equity line of second and you don't have any intentions of paying it off or paying it down in the next couple of years, I would strongly suggest that you consider rolling the first and second together, getting the best rate you can now before the rates go up. and then being on your way and then securing that so you don't have that obstacle hanging over your head for the next several years. That's the first thing I would be concerned about right now in an interest rate rising environment. Most of the consensus, most of the people, everything we're reading, seeing, our projections show that this time next year, let's just say late 2018, interest rates could be in the high 4% or close to 5%. Some people that have been buying houses since 1970s or 80s might say, Joe, I don't care. Are you kidding me? 5%? I'm still good with 5%. Heck, I paid 13, 14% in the late 80s. But most of us that have been in this interest rate environment for the last 10 to 12 years and the younger generation that weren't buying houses, see, there's a segment of people, there's myself, I'm in the baby boomer group, right? So I bought my first house in 87, so I remember those interest rates. But if you have a person that bought their first home in the late 90s, mid to late 90s and early 2000s, and now they've bought 1, 2, 3 homes, guess what? They have no idea. When you tell them 4.5% or 5%, they'll go, are you kidding me? Oh, my God. I would never pay that kind of interest rate. So there's a different dynamic there. Be careful. But this time next year, we expect rates to be up maybe 0.75 to 1 full percent. If we look at that now, that could be close to 5% on 30-year money. Just, again, these are projections and estimates. That's why it's so important to secure your mortgage now before the end of the year, ideally if you can. Another issue is if you think you're going to be doing any remodeling, if you think that you need to pay off some debts, if you think you need to, maybe eliminate some student debt that's never going to go away or you can't see paying it down. These are the kinds of things to maybe consider before the interest rates start going up. You could still wrap them into one loan and take advantage of still having one low interest rate before the rates start going back up. All right, we're going to take another break. When I come back, we're going to switch gears a little bit. I'm going to go from interest rates, and then I'm going to talk now on the next two segments a little bit about why Q4 here in the next 3 months I think could be one of the better times to go out and finally buy a home. If you have any questions, 1-800-516-1220. This is Joe Kuchera with Real Estate Radio Live. I'll be back with you to continue in just a couple minutes.
For more information on today's program, visit RERadiolive.com. That's RERadiolive.com.
Hi, this is Joe Kuchera, host of Real Estate Radio Live and Bay Area Mortgage Planner. In addition to being your home financing expert, please remember you could always contact me for other trusted advisors such as realtors, financial planners, and CPAs. Please feel free to contact me at 408-838-9060. That's 408-838-9060, or email joe at RERadiolive.com, or visit my website at RERadiolive.com for more details.
Welcome back to Real Estate Radio Live, streaming live on iHeart, TuneIn, and KDOW.biz. For more information on today's topic or guest, just visit RERadiolive.com. That's RERadiolive.com. Again, your host for Real Estate Radio Live, Joe Kuchera.
Welcome back in. Thank you for joining us this afternoon. Joe Kuchera with Real Estate Radio Live. Appreciate the time you spend listening to the show and following the show very, very much. Almost 8 years now, and the show continues to grow. The podcasting continues to grow. We have great responses, and we have some big surprises coming up as we roll into 2018. You have to stay tuned for those. A lot of exciting things going on at Real Estate Radio Live. We have a team of people focused on really improving the way real estate transactions take place, lending, the entire package. So our focus, our goal, our objective now is going to go from continuing to go from not only educating and informing the consumer, but I have collected so much information over the last 8 years, over 1,200 interviews with experts, industry experts from every aspect of real estate, over 1,400, really correspondence, feedbacks, emails, phone calls, dialogue, information from consumers. I've collected so much information and data. What really has driven me to this next level to really serve the consumer, you the consumer, is that we're going to be putting together a program with a team of our people that are going to be able to help the entire transaction, real estate, lending, title, and escrow. I want you to check in with us before you make a move on anything. Check in with us. Let me know. We're going to have some exciting stuff coming down the pike, which means we're going to help not only navigate to help you get the expert real estate agent, but more importantly, the best lending, title, and escrow. See, most people will do that all individually, and they'll be fragmented. We're going to put all those together for you. Make sure you not only have experts in all three components, ladies and gentlemen, but we're going to save you money on them at the same time. So we're going to bring that together. We're going to bring the transactions together so that the team of experts are working together, so you don't have to talk to all these different people. You don't have to go out and figure out what the best deal is for everybody. We're going to do that for you. We're going to do all that for you. So I want you to contact us, stay in touch with us. If you're getting ready to buy, sell, finance or purchase, anything like that, give us a call, check in, because we want to be able to help you. We're going to be launching new programs because of what the consumers have told us over the last 7 or 8 years, and because of what we're hearing from the industry, and because I know the direction the industry is going. We're going to help you in that area. All right, so let me jump into talking a little bit about why Q4 here as we roll out of, or we really finish up 2017. Well, I think it's probably there's going to be a little window of opportunity for you to buy, better than it's been in the past, in the last year or so. Now, this is no scientific guess or anything like this. It's just that what I'm seeing, my observation is there's a couple different dynamics that'll happen. Number one, there's a little bit of flattening. I think anytime you get close to the end of the year, what happens is a lot of people, number one, if they're thinking about selling, unless they really have to, what they're going to do is they're probably going to hold off now, especially as we get into late November. Unfortunately, right or wrong, a lot of people will shut down and say, you know what, I don't want to deal with this till after the first of the year. I don't want to deal with this until, and then you start hearing people say, well, don't put your house on the market until after the Super Bowl. And you have all these different people telling you to do different things. I would suggest that it's good to look at data, and it's good to look at historical data, and it's good to look at trends. But I would suggest in some senses, be careful and don't listen to someone that says the same thing that's been telling you the same thing for 10 years. That is one of the most frustrating things to me. It really is. There's hundreds of examples, right? The one that I dislike the most, that kind of just makes my skin shiver, is when someone says, well, we've always done things that way. It's always the way it's been. Oh, I can't stand that statement. It's always the way things been. It's always the way we've always done it this way. That doesn't make it the best way. That doesn't make it the appropriate way. That doesn't make it the most cost-effective way. It doesn't make it the most intelligent way. It doesn't make it the best way that you can make the best use of technology. The question is, what is going on today? What data can you collect today to help you make an informed decision to put your house on the market or go buy a house or get a refinance? What can you learn today that would drive you to that decision or away from that decision? That's the question you should be asking yourself. If that's the case, get with an expert or get with someone that will help you make those decisions based on what's going on today. Historical data is great. Don't get me wrong. You have to understand it. You have to learn from it. It could tell you some trends in certain areas. But when you're in a market like ours that's been hot for several years now, and it's a seller's market, and it's low inventory, and interest rates are still good, you can't hold your hat onto this is the way it's always been. So be careful when you're working with someone, and if they're telling you these things that they're hearing at a bar or an event or a seminar, because everybody's telling you, don't sell your house, wait till after the Super Bowl. come up with some new data, some new information. If someone told me that, I'd say, why? Then if they say, well, it's always the way it's been, I'd say, well, explain that to me. What do you mean it's always the way it's been? Well, most people don't like to put their house on the market when it's winter, raining, and all this stuff going on. That's kind of just I'm not saying some of that is not true. My point is, don't get caught up in listening to someone that's you're trying to make one of the most important decisions in your life. To sell a home, who you're going to work with. To buy a home, who you're going to work with, who you trust. Work with someone that sits down with you and gives you some solid advice and information. Really, really need to do that. Please, when I say this, understand that the reason I say this is that some people may be offended or think, well, what's he talking about? Well, I've been for almost 20 years helping people finance. Well, guess what? Financing goes right along hand in hand with real estate transactions. So 80 to 90% of the financing I do is with a purchase transaction. It has to do with purchase. So I'm very familiar with it. Work with hundreds of different agents. Again, over 1,200 interviews, 14 to 1,500 correspondence with consumers over the last 8 plus years on the radio and podcasting. There's a lot of information, and things are changing. So the reason I'm going to bring this up from time to time is that I really want to engage you to start thinking about, are you working with the right person or the right team? Don't do something just because you've done it for the last 10 years, or don't choose to work with someone just because they're a nice person. Nice is good, don't get me wrong, but make sure they're a professional, make sure they know what they're talking about, make sure they're going to be fair and equitable, make sure that they understand the market. All those things are really important. I just said it. Someone just gave me an example today, and I'm going to share it with you real quick because it has something to do with what I'm talking about. It's someone in my office that's a loan officer, and they shared a story with me today. They said, Joe, I started working with a client. I started working with a real estate agent that referred me a client. I said, okay. He goes, you never guess what happened. I said, what? Well, next thing you know, the client comes to me and says, you know what? I decided not to work with that real estate agent. I decided to work with someone else. And the gentleman in the office is telling me the story, and that happens every once in a while, right? But then he goes on to tell me, these are educated buyers, right? They're people that are about ready to buy a $1.5 million home. And we were talking a little bit about it, and he said they said, yeah, they switched. They didn't really, they found another realtor. And he says, Joe, you know who this realtor is? And I said, who's this realtor? He says, I know the guy. He's a teacher. He's a full-time high school teacher, and he does real estate part-time. And I go, what? Are you kidding me? He goes, yeah, can you believe it? He goes, I feel like I need to share this. And I said, well, what are you going to do? And we were talking about it. And so the reason I bring this up is that it's amazing to me how someone could put something so important in the hands of someone that doesn't even do this full time or doesn't even take it serious. I don't care how good you are. If you have a full-time job doing something else, I will guarantee you, unless you don't sleep or don't eat or don't have a life, that there's no way you're going to be able to have the same competency level as someone that does this full-time on the real estate side. You just won't. The same on the lending. So these are the types of things that happen. And what's amazing to me is some people would say, oh, no, they're intelligent people. Don't worry. But the data and statistics tell us, ladies and gentlemen, but still to this day, 70, almost 80% of people are still, they want to seek a professional on the lending or real estate side because intelligence has nothing to do with a certain industry. You could be book smart. You could be a super, super smart person, but that doesn't mean you know everything about everything, especially some of these big decisions. All right, I'm going to take the last break. I'm going to come back. I'm going to continue talking about why the fourth quarter is going to be a good time, potentially, for you to get out there and buy, be a little more aggressive. This is Joe Kuchera with Real Estate Radio Live, 1-800-516-1220. If you have a question, I'll be back with you to finish up in just a couple minutes.
For more information on today's program, visit RERadiolive.com. That's RERadiolive.com.
Bay Area housing competition is fierce, and everyone wants to know one thing. What is a winning strategy? What does it really take to stand out from the rest and get my offer accepted? Hi, this is Joe Kuchera, host of Real Estate Radio Live. If you feel like winning in this market is a challenge, you're not alone. The good news is getting your offer accepted on that home is not impossible. It just takes an experienced team and a solid strategy. With the right support, you can structure the strongest offer. Factors such as credit, down payment, income type, and lending programs are all important. Did you know that people are even using personal touches such as letters, photos, and videos to stand out? So let's talk through structuring the strongest offer for you. From critical steps in pre-approval to creating a custom plan to win the home of your dreams, we can succeed in this market together. Call 408-838-9060 or email Joe at RERadiolive.com.
Real estate broker Cal DRE, NMLS number 6606.
Welcome back to Real Estate Radio Live, streaming live on iHeart, TuneIn, and KDOW.biz. For more information on today's topic or guest, just visit RERadiolive.com. That's RERadiolive.com. Again, your host for Real Estate Radio Live, Joe Kuchera.
Welcome back in. Joe Kuchera with Real Estate Radio Live. Thank you for spending some time with us this afternoon. We're winding down the show, just about 7 minutes left in this last segment. I want to finish up talking a little bit about why I think Q4 here, the last quarter of 2017, is a better time. Might be a little bit of a window opportunity for those who have been discouraged out there buying. Most people, again, will a lot of people even that are out looking for homes, sometimes really as we enter into, whether it's right or wrong, as you enter into November, sometimes a lot of people will just automatically think, I don't want the headaches of buying or selling a home during the holidays. Not everybody does that, but some people do. So keep a heads up if you're a buyer. And the reason I say that, potentially what you're going to do is you're going to have less competition out there, and especially the months of November and December. You're probably going to have less competition out there one way or another. Now, the other downside to that is you potentially could have less homes even on the market because people, conversely, may not want to put their home on the market during the holidays. But a lot of this is changing, and again, it's not, you can't continue to look at the historic data to a certain extent because this is a micro market, and it's very, very unique in that some people, regardless, if they're ready to sell, and this is an incredible seller's market, and they hit their number, and they could think they could get what they get for the number, holidays won't make a difference. They'll put their house on the market and sell. Now, if someone's just fishing, or if someone doesn't really know, or they're speculating, or they're not really in a hurry, then that's a totally different thing. So I would say if you're a buyer and if you've been out there and you're discouraged, or maybe you think that, I'm going to give up, or I'm not sure if this will ever get better, I would just say hang in there. And honestly, if I felt that it was better to back off and just stay away from this game for a while, I would say so, because I've done that before. I don't think it is. And the reason why I don't think it is are a couple different reasons. One, interest rates are likely to continue going up. Okay, so that's you got that going against you. Two, you still have low inventory, and it's an extremely strong business market here. You don't have a lot of places to build. All those things, all those formulas put together spell that we're still probably going to be in a tough market when it comes to being out there to be a buyer. It's even harder for first-time home buyers. It's really hard for people who are trying to get in with FHA or little down or to be competitive. It's terrible. We're not going to solve that problem overnight. But I would tell you, honestly, if I felt you should take a break and wait for a year or so, I'm afraid that it might take a couple of years for this thing to slow down, unless there's something that comes up that none of us know about. It may take several years just because of the factors that we have working here in the area. So give yourself these little windows. Again, if you're working with the right real estate agent, they're going to be telling you the same stuff. They really are. There's some great real estate agents out there. They're going to tell you the same stuff. They're going to be keeping you posted. They're going to be keeping you updated. They're going to be giving you some advice. If you're not hearing from your agent on a regular basis, then that may not be good. So you may want to either talk to them about that or reconsider or do something else. But in a market like this, it's not for really it's not for the passive, and it's not for the people that are kind of lax. You have to jump on stuff. You have to be ready. You have to be looking at data every single day, because a house could be coming on the market, or maybe you're working in a big enough office where you're apprised of a home is coming on the market before it even gets to the market, and a lot of good agents will know that, and so they'll bring some of this information to you in advance. So those are some of the things you know when you're working with the right agent. If the agent is always on top of stuff like, hey, listen, I know there's another agent at my office. I know there's 2 homes coming on. I think you might like him. Let me see what I could find out for you. Hey, I understand something's going on in this area. Let me talk to that agent. I mean, these are the types of things. If you hear that type of dialogue, if you're having that kind of dialogue with your agent, then you know you're probably with the right agent, because they're on the ball and they're trying to make things happen for you. So I wouldn't get discouraged. I know it's easy to get discouraged. It really is. I see it all the time. It's easy for me to say if you're not out there in the market buying. What I would say is get back out there. If you're discouraged, get back out there. And the reason why, if you are, in fact, in the market for a home and you're ready, then I say get back out there. If you really aren't in the market, or you're thinking, Joe, I could give it, or I could either take it or leave it, then that's a different story. But if you really want to buy a house, stick it out, get out there, make it happen, look at what's available, ask a lot of tough questions, make sure your agent is fulfilling the obligations. And some people might say, well, how do I know I'm doing that? How do you know they're showing me everything? How do you know they're not too late on these things? I don't know. That's a good question. That's something you're going to have to talk to them about and stay on top of the game and work alongside with them. I do know one thing. If you're feeling uncomfortable, it doesn't matter who you're working with, whether it's a lender or a real estate agent. Honestly, if you don't feel like the person is serving you right, have a conversation with them first. Give them a chance. And if you feel like they're still not serving you correctly, or if they're just a gut feel like, I don't think they're into this thing, then make a decision. Seriously, work with someone else. It's your decision. It's your money. How do you want to spend it? You make sure that you're with the right person. Really important to do that. So for those out there, again, it's hard. Try not to get discouraged. Get out there. Make your best effort. The reason why is rates are going up next year, and I'm not sure it's going to get any easier. So make your best effort and do the best you can. All right, we're going to have to duck out for the day. This is Joe Kuchera with the Real Estate Radio Live. We'll be back with you tomorrow. Tomorrow we're going to bring in the partnership. Buddy and Bobby will be back with us tomorrow. We're going to be doing a show on their travels out of the country for the last several weeks. Joe Kuchera with Real Estate Radio Live. Thanks for checking in. Have a great afternoon. We'll be back with you tomorrow.
You've been listening to Real Estate Radio Live. For more information on today's program, visit RERadiolive.com. That's RERadiolive.com. Tune in, log in, download our podcast. Discover more at RERadiolive.com. RERadiolive.com.